So Doug Collins, former Republican congressman of Georgia and former ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, joins me now. I know you're not surprised. I mean, none of us are surprised, and you don't even have to be an elected official to know this. First of all, some of these court cases are not going to be heard for 5 years. They have no idea where they went. Why would they even show up? They're obviously not going to show up. So it's just another, golden ticket to migrants that come into this country. They have court dates that they're not expected to adhere to. And what is the president doing about that? Nothing.
No, they're doing nothing. Good morning, Julie. Look, they're doing nothing about this. And it's 5 years is actually a fairly quick court date for some of these that we've been seeing 8 and 10 years out. They're not going to show up. And here's the other issue right now. Biden administration has an open door policy at the border. They can deny it all they want, but it's true. They're expanding the use of parole, which should not be used the way they're using it to let people come through the main entry gates. Then they're putting them on planes to all over the country. Many of them will come. And if you've ever been to the border, you'll know what I'm talking about. They come with little strips of paper that have an address on them. Now, most of them are not really sure where that address is, but this is where they're supposed to be going because that's who's supposed to be sponsoring them, if you would. This is a sad state of affairs right now where the Biden administration is allowing the cartels to run the show all along while they're saying that they're being compassionate to these immigrants. They're actually letting them get raped, they're getting murdered, they're getting killed, and they're getting extorted, all because our administration will not put a close to this border.
No, they won't. And I mean, if you talk about the number of migrants that go across the border on a daily basis, you're talking about like 12,000. On Tuesday, they apprehended some 6,000. But I mean, look at this caravan that's heading this way. I remember on Saturday, Sunday, we were talking about it. That number was 6,000 people. Now it's 15,000 people. And they are actually, because we have reporters on the ground that have spoken to them and interviewed these people that plan on marching right over our border, have demanded that Biden help them. So these migrants are coming here because they expect that the United States president is on their side because clearly we have set a very dangerous precedent.
And guess what? The Biden administration's ear is to those migrants, not the ones who are living in the United States, citizens who are on our border, and now every state being a border state. Julie, one of the things I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is I wanted to remind people, because we've come numb to the numbers. You said 700,000 roughly since the beginning of the fiscal year, which was October 1. I'm going to put it in perspective for folks who'll be watching football this weekend. That is the national championship game in football and the Super Bowl times 3. At least possibly times 4. That's how many people we're talking about. 3 million and upwards of 6 million under the Biden administration. That's over 60% of the population of the state of Georgia in which I live.
Right.
This is not just a few people coming across. This is not for just a few people who are longing to be free. These people are basically invading our country, and we're not stopping them.
Yeah, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is headed there now to speak with the president of Mexico. I say this is just pure optics. There's an election around the corner, and now the White House wants to make it look like they're taking this crisis seriously. I got to move on, speaking of crises, to the Middle East now. There is one headline on the mounting tension in the region. Fears grow of a wider conflict. This is on the Hill. Quote, everybody is playing a chess game, and you have so many different players right now. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, all backed by Iran. Some argue our own president is not playing the game well enough, or at all. House Intel Committee member Mike Waltz says Biden's weak Iran policy is putting us at risk. Watch.
Israel is just going to be mowing the grass in Gaza. It's going to grow back. Terrorism is going to come back as long as Iran is flush with cash. So the biggest thing the administration could do to help Israel is do a 180, reverse course on its Iran policy, go back to maximum pressure, and dry up their coffers that are fueling terrorism across the region.
I mean, this is literally the trifecta from hell. I mean, you've got Hezbollah to the north of Israel firing back at Israel, and then you've got Houthis that are getting involved and attacking ships, and then Hamas right now, and Iran has been at the center of this. And not just this conflict, I mean, the war between Russia and Ukraine. Iran has had its finger on the pulse of terror for years. What has the White House done about it? Nothing. What do plan on doing about it? This war is obviously never ending in Israel, but this current battle that's going on in Gaza right now, how does the U.S. push the stop button on Iran in order to facilitate and enable Israel to finally come to some sort of agreement eventually? Because with Iran in the mix, that's never going to happen.
Exactly, Julie. Let's first off state the board clearly. Chess is a two-person game. It's not a 3 or 4. All these proxies are proxies for Iran. We're actually in this battle, and Israel is in by way of this as well with Iran. The first step you have to do is cut off their money flow. Second thing you have to do is go back to sanctions, which a few years ago was the only thing that brought them to the table to begin with, because they were literally falling apart internally. The Biden and Obama, back to the Obama administration, took that away. Donald Trump actually brought that back and was bringing them down again. Now they're getting money to feed all these groups. None of these actually have any backing outside of Iran that or mean anything. And then the last thing is when they hit Americans, we kill them. I mean, it's plain and simple. Bully only looks at bullies.
I'm so glad you said that.
We've got to be a part of that.
Yeah, and exactly. And that is why Israel will kill anyone who gets in their way of trying to get to Hamas. When you kill Israelis, you kill yourself. And that's what Hamas did. And unfortunately, there are Palestinian civilians that are going to be caught up in the mix. And all those, pro-Palestinian protesters that are so ignorant, that do not understand the meaning and the reason why October 7th happened and why this war continues, are ignorant, and they must be silenced. And I understand they have the right to protest, but it's just pure stupidity. I got to ask you this. We know that Hamas rejected an Egyptian proposal for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. There's a Washington Examiner opinion which says that it underscores why Hamas must go. Quote, a permanent ceasefire with Hamas is impossible. It can come only when Hamas ceases to exist. This is a matter of simple logic. For Hamas's reason for existence is the destruction of Israel. It was Hamas that broke the last ceasefire when it invaded Israel. No nation would tolerate such a neighbor, and Israel should not be expected to do so. That is so well said.
It is. And look, we forget, we only focus on October 7th, but before October 7th, it was a daily occurrence of Hamas sending rockets and missiles into Israel. My thing is, too, is also we need to reverse the Obama deal and put the leadership of Hamas back into Gaza. If they want to run a war, they need to be in Gaza, not in Qatar. We've got to actually make them pay the price. And this is what Israel has to do, and people have to understand the whole process, not just where it's at right this second.
Doug Collins, great to see you as always. Congressman Collins, thank you. Lovely to see you, and happy holidays.